After my first love and I moved in together, she said she wanted to save her first time for our wedding night. A woman is something to be cherished, so I never pushed her, even if I had to take care of it myself. That was until I heard the sound she was making with her boss in the office bathroom. The next day, when the boss's daughter offered me a ride, I didn't turn her down. I looked at her damp hair, her trembling eyelashes, and a satisfied look in her eyes. I tossed my apartment key out the car window. I was gone for a week, and Sarah didn't send a single text. She only remembered to call me when the landlord came looking for the rent. It was loud on her end. It sounded like she was at a karaoke bar with friends. Her voice was sharp and shrill as she yelled into the phone. "Ethan, where the hell are you? The landlord wants the rent. I told him to call you, but he said you're not picking up. What's wrong with you? Do I have to deal with every little thing?" I used to think her constant chattering was cute. At that moment, it just made me sick. One of her friends, looking to stir up trouble, chimed in, "Hey, Ethan, if you keep letting a girl like Sarah down, one of us is going to have to step in." "For real, man," another one said. "My cousin saw her once and has been bugging me for her number ever since. You better watch out." She had me on speaker. "Perfect." I crushed out my cigarette and said flatly, "We're done." Sarah paused, then let out a short, scornful laugh. I could picture the disdainful look on her face. In the 5 years we'd been together, she'd threatened to break up with me at least once a week. Every time, I'd be on my knees, begging her like a dog to take me back. In fact, a week ago, right before I decided to get in the car with the boss's daughter, I had texted Sarah and told her we were breaking up. She never even took it seriously. Sarah's voice was laced with impatience. "Just pay the rent, will you?" My hero, the security guard. She always did that when we fought, calling me that with a nasty, sarcastic edge, as if she'd forgotten why I was working as a security guard in the first place. "We're done," I repeated. Her anger flared. "What? Are you dying of some terminal illness, and you don't want to be a burden?" She spat. A wave of laughter erupted from her friends. Sarah, sensing an out, softened her tone. "Stop messing around. Come pick me up. I've had too much to drink. Just pretend I'm dead." I shook another cigarette from a pack. The boss's daughter, who had been sitting quietly beside me, snatched it away. She slapped me, a hand raised high, but landing softly on my cheek. I pulled her into my arms. Both ends of the phone line went silent. One of the friends tried to break the tension. "Whoa, Ethan, you didn't actually find someone else, did you? Because if you did, then all bets are off." Sarah scoffed. "Please. Growing up, he never had the guts to say more than 3 words to any other girl." The boss's daughter climbed onto my lap, wrapping her arms around me, pressing herself against me in a slow, quiet rhythm. My voice was hoarse when I spoke into the phone. "That's it. Throw all my stuff out. I'll pay for 1 more month of rent. After that, you're on your own." "Fine. You have the guts to walk away. Don't you dare come crawling back to me." She hung up and blocked me on everything. I didn't expect Sarah to show up at my work, waiting for me. She was wearing that white dress I always loved to see her in, making her look pure and innocent. It threw me right back into the past. She was the prettiest girl in our class for as long as I could remember. In elementary school, I was the fat kid, and Sarah was the only one who would play with me. In middle school, I was a head shorter than all the other boys. No one had a crush on me, but the girls were willing to be my friends. I turned them all down because I was afraid it would make Sarah mad. In high school, we split into different academic tracks, and my talent for the sciences finally shone through. My grades shot up to the top 3 in our year. I hit a growth spurt to 6 feet 1 inch, and I suddenly became one of the most popular guys in school. I got a lot of confession letters, but I only had eyes for Sarah. After graduation, I followed her to the same city without a second thought. Our schools were just across the street from each other. She was at a community college, and I was at Columbia. Everyone said I was an idiot, but I didn't care. Every time I waited for her outside her dorm, I could feel how proud she was. She would hang on my neck and kiss me like a little bird pecking its seeds. I lived on $100 a month, but the first scholarship check I got, I spent $1,000 on a dress for her. Now she was standing in front of me, wearing that same dress. The message was clear. My hands were in my pockets. I stared at her coldly, saying nothing. A cold wind blew and her shoulders trembled, making her look even more pitiful. "Baby, hold me," she said, holding out her arms. I felt a flicker of weakness, but my mind was clear. Besides, the boss's daughter was watching from her office window upstairs. Sarah took a step forward, trying to wrap her arms around my waist. I stepped back, and she stumbled into empty air. Her eyes turned red, the corners of her mouth drooping. She always looked so vulnerable when she cried. "You should go," I said. "I'm in love with someone else." "I don't believe you. Is it because I won't sleep with you?" I didn't expect her to be so direct. After we graduated, she was the one who suggested we move in together. That first night, things got heated. We were just one step away when she said she wanted to wait until we were married. I didn't say a word, just got up and took a long, cold shower. A woman is to be cherished. I would never force her, even if I had to drive myself crazy. But when the boss's daughter held me, she told me that things like this were meant to be enjoyed while you're young. I had enjoyed it, and I only wanted to keep enjoying it with her. I looked at Sarah, but I couldn't find the words to explain. "Sarah, I've had time to think. We're not right for each other. How would you know if we haven't even tried?" She grabbed my arm, her grip like a vice. "Let's go right now. I'll give you everything." "Okay." I pulled my arm free, holding my hand up. My voice was harsher than I intended. "Don't make a scene. This is my workplace. It's not a good look." I glanced up and my eyes met Olivia's. She gave me a playful little wave. Beside me, Sarah was still crying. "Can we at least get dinner?" "My treat. I just got confirmed for my full-time position." "I know," I blurted out. In the years since she graduated, she'd had 7 different jobs. She never lasted more than a month at the first 6, either complaining about her coworkers or how tired she was. But the 7th one, she was finally about to get her permanent offer. It was Valentine's Day, and she had complained about having to work late. I wanted to surprise her, so I went to her office to pick her up. The place was empty, and she wasn't answering her phone. I went to use the restroom, and that's when I heard a familiar voice moaning. "You're so bad." "Oh, it's inside." "Yes. Yes." The blood in my veins turned to ice. So this was the hard work she was putting in to get her promotion. Her voice pulled me back from the memory. Her eyes were shining. "You were keeping tabs on me. I knew you still cared." My words must have given her a shot of confidence. She wiped her tears and held out her hand. "Come on, let's go home." I don't know when Olivia had come downstairs. She was breathtaking, dressed in a Chanel suit and red-soled heels. Her legs were impossibly long. Gray fishnet stockings disappeared under the hem of her short skirt, hinting at the pale, soft skin beneath. Standing next to her, Sarah looked like an underdeveloped middle schooler. Sarah was stunned into silence by her presence. Olivia looped her arm through mine and planted a kiss on my cheek. "I sent you to get coffee, not to flirt with little girls. You're going to be punished for this tonight." Just the sound of her voice sent a shiver through me. Normally, Sarah would have exploded in a fit of rage, but now she just stood there, deflated. She looked at Olivia and, after a long moment, said, "Did you hire an actress to fool me? Is this really what you're stooping to just to break up with me?" Olivia casually brushed her hair back, her palm facing up. When I didn't move, she grabbed my hand, lacing her fingers through mine. "Let's go. Colin's sick. We can go home and get some exercise." Sarah stomped her foot in frustration, yelling at their retreating backs. "Ethan Ford, you cheated on me. This woman is nothing but a home wrecker." Heads turned. Olivia wasn't fazed in the slightest. She just squeezed my arm and whispered, "You're happier than her now. Don't stoop to her level." That may be true, but Olivia was my woman now. I couldn't let her be insulted. I turned around and strode back to Sarah. She stared at me, mesmerized. She'd never looked at me with such intensity before. She bit her lip and whispered my name. I cupped her chin. She closed her eyes, thinking I was going to kiss her. Looking at that face, it was hard to believe I once loved her so much I would have died for her. I told her, "Listen to me, Sarah. We are over. If you ever dare to bother my girlfriend again, don't blame me for what happens next." Her eyes snapped open at the sound of my voice. The muscles in her face twitched, and the light in her eyes died. "You hate me, don't you?" she asked. I never got my college degree because of her. Senior year, some lowlife was harassing her, and I stepped in. I just wanted to scare him off. But Sarah, out of nowhere, picked up a brick and smashed it against the back of his head. Blood poured out, and she started shaking uncontrollably. What do we do, Ethan? I don't want to go to jail. I spat on the ground and punched the wall until my knuckles bled. Go home, wash up, and go to bed. If the sky falls, I'll hold it up for you. The good news was the guy didn't die. The bad news was I took the fall. It cost me my diploma and changed the entire trajectory of my life. I had already secured offers from several major tech companies with the highest starting salary in my department. All I had to do was graduate. After that mess, I didn't sleep for days. I lost 20 pounds. I never brought it up. Of course, I was devastated. I regretted it. I even thought about killing myself, but I didn't want to use it to punish her, and I didn't want it to come between us. Sarah stared at me. You've regretted being with me for a long time, haven't you? You regret helping me. You were just waiting to find some rich woman to latch onto. She was good at turning the tables. I just smiled. Believe whatever you want. You're nothing but a pathetic security guard, a dog. She'll get tired of you and kick you to the curb. Don't come crying to me when she does. This vicious side of her was much more familiar. Ethan Ford, you just wait. I'll make you regret this, she yelled, then spun around and walked away without a backward glance. Olivia had been watching from a short distance away. I walked over to her, putting on my usual goofy grin. She looked at me seriously and straightened my collar. A coworker walked by and clicked his tongue. Hey, Miss Sterling, your father's watching from his office. He's going to have someone break this guy's legs. That was his ex-girlfriend, Olivia said smoothly. The fact that she's chasing after him just proves my boyfriend is a catch. That was her way. She could take the biggest crisis and brush it off like it was nothing. I took her hand and kissed it gently. She looked up, cupping my face in her hands. Ethan Ford, you're not a pathetic security guard, and you're not a dog. You're my knight. You hear me? I nodded, my head feeling heavier and heavier. I sniffled, then bent down and buried my face in the soft, fragrant curve of her neck. Olivia took me up to the 28th floor. The CEO's office was the size of a football field. She lounged on the sofa, looked up at me, and said something that stunned me. Do you want to sit in the CEO's chair? Even if I had the guts, I wouldn't dare say yes. She saw through me, pulling me over. She pushed me down in her father's throne leather chair, then climbed onto my lap to face me. A cold sweat broke out on my back. I held on to her, trying to stand up. Your dad will be back. We won't be able to explain this. He's in a meeting. He won't be back for at least 2 hours. Her breath was hot against my ear as her long fingers threaded through my hair. I was burning up, my hands tracing the line of her ankle. I've been wanting to rip the fishnets on her legs for a long time. My 2 hands weren't enough to explore everywhere. She undid the buttons of her own blouse one by one, offering herself to me. Thank God I still have my mouth. My dad is looking for an executive assistant. I gave him your resume, she said while I was buttoning her shirt back up. My dad asked me. This kid got straight A's every semester and won national awards every year. How'd he end up as a security guard? She tilted her head back, her fingertips lifting my chin. If he asks you, what are you going to say? I stroked her cheek and smiled. The truth. That temper of yours. He'll love it. She knew her father well. The CEO asked me a few questions about my family and then told me to go to HR and have my file transferred. I worked my ass off. I got to the office before him every day and left after he did. Olivia wasn't happy about it. The moment I got home at night, she'd cling to me and refuse to let go. It's been 3 days. Her leg brushed against mine. Ever since we got together, we'd been at it every night, and it never got old. I tapped her on the nose. Looks like I've spoiled my princess. Yeah, you have. I haven't eaten in 3 days. I'm starving, she whispered, opening her mouth and slowly sliding down. I threw my arms back, leaning against the sofa as a tingling numbness spread from my thighs through my whole body. My old buddy from the security team called me. Man, you're living the life. I walked to the window and saw a crowd gathered downstairs. In the middle of it was a girl holding a banner with what looked like a bunch of photos tacked onto it. As I got closer, I saw it was Sarah. She had printed out all our old intimate photos and stuck them below the banner. The banner read in big, bold letters, "Cheating scumbag and his homewrecker boss." When the crowd saw me, they parted to let me through. I heard people whispering as I walked past. That's the guy who landed the boss's daughter. I can't believe he's a player. Damn, he's hot, though. Looks like a model. The boss's daughter has good taste. Sarah had a smug look on her face. She thought this would give her power over me. I tried to reason with her. Playing these dirty tricks won't get you anywhere. You should just go back to your job. She laughed. Scare now? If I can't be happy, neither can you. Sarah, I said, my voice sharp. I told you if you tried anything like this, I wouldn't let it slide. I took out my phone and played a recording. In the recording, her voice was syrupy sweet, asking her boss, "Who's better in bed, me or your wife?" Her face turned crimson, her eyes bulging. How do you have that? Were you in my company? I shrugged. You know exactly what you did. I broke up with you before I got with Olivia. You can say whatever you want about me. I don't care. But if you dare touch a single hair on her head, I will make sure you lose everything. People in the crowd started pointing at her. This woman has no shame. Imagine dumping a guy that hot for someone else's leftovers. Sarah was shaking like a leaf, but she still tried to act tough. Ethan, you just wait. In 3 years, my life will be so much better than yours, and you'll be on your knees begging to lick my toes. Working alongside the CEO, I quickly got involved in the company's core business. He saw my potential and started taking me to all sorts of dinners and events. There's a gala tonight just for the company's top executives. Bring Olivia with you as your date. That girl, before she started working here, swore up and down she'd take it seriously, and now she's slacking off again. I need you to keep her in line for me. I nodded, but I felt conflicted. Olivia was a showstopper wherever she went, but she hated these kinds of events. I didn't want to make her do something she disliked. I told her, if you don't want to go, I'll go by myself. I'll just deal with your dad's wrath later. She wrapped her arms around me, pouting, I'm happy to go with you, but I want a reward. I tapped her nose and silenced her with a long, deep kiss. You'll get your reward tonight. That's more like it. Before we left, she emerged from the walk-in closet. I had a squint. Her hair was up. Her makeup was subtle but elegant. She was wearing a black velvet strapless dress that barely contained her curves. Seeing me speechless, she playfully ran her hands over me, leaning against my chest. It's all black underneath, too, Mr. Ford. With that, she opened the door to leave. I slammed it shut, spinning her around. She protested that we were going to be late, but her body arched eagerly. I roughly pushed up the hem of her dress, just a little appetizer. I held her hand as we left. Olivia was still breathing a little heavily, but she was in an excellent mood. When we arrived at the winery where the gala was being held, I heard a familiar voice. Well, if it isn't my ex-boyfriend, Sarah. She had her hair in big waves, wore bright red lipstick, a Chanel suit, and red-soled heels. She was clinging to the arm of an older man, a smug look on her face. Olivia dipped her head slightly and said, Uncle Thompson. Then she turned and whispered in my ear with a laugh. The security guard at the office park worked in 24-hour rotating shifts. There was always someone at the gate. I asked her, that first day you offered me a ride, how did you know my shift was about to end? Olivia tapped me on the head. You big dummy. Why do you think? I hesitated for a few seconds before I spoke. You were watching me since I first started working here. She shook her head. Even earlier, but we didn't know each other before that. Could it be? She saw the guest forming in my mind and confirmed it. That's right. In college. I knew she had been a freshman when I was a senior. What I didn't know was that she had a crush on me since then. Her voice was like a breeze on a spring night. It was the first day of my freshman year. You were a student orientation leader greeting new students at the airport. It was love at first sight, handsome. But then people told me you had a childhood sweetheart for a girlfriend and that you too were very serious. What could I do? Later, I went to the UK for a study abroad program. When I came back, I heard you'd been expelled for putting someone in the hospital. I tried to find you then to offer you a job, but then by some twist of fate, you ended up working at my father's company. That's when I begged him to let me come work here too. She told the story so calmly. Nothing like Sarah's grating chatter. I pulled her into my arms. She playfully punched my chest. So many people are watching. Dad's right over there. When the CEO saw us approaching, he beamed and introduced me to the man he was with. This is my daughter's boyfriend. He's very capable. He was the one who landed that big overseas contract. The client couldn't stop singing his praises. The men were polite on the surface, but they exchanged subtle, knowing glances. Olivia didn't give them a chance to gossip. In college, my boyfriend put a scumbag in the hospital, and the school rescinded his diploma. All his job offers from the big tech companies were canceled. Isn't that ridiculous? Her beautiful face suddenly turned to a heavy-set man. Chad, your father is on the university's board of trustees. Please do me a favor and tell him not to make such a low-level mistake again. Sweat beaded on the man's nose. He stammered out his agreement, practically drooling. I was beginning to see that Olivia had a habit of weaponizing her beauty. Like a leech, Sarah reappeared holding a glass of wine. Oh, by the way, did you all know that Ethan's father was a murderer? I hear that kind of thing is genetic. My hand tightened around my wine glass. The CEO's expression remained unchanged. He simply raised his glass. Then tell us, who did his father kill? Sarah sneered. His father killed his mother. He's an orphan. No one ever looked after him. If my parents hadn't taken pity on him and given him a meal, he would have starved to death. She turned to look at Olivia. Miss Sterling, you'd better be careful. He's just like his father. Smack! The sharp sound of a slap echoed through the ballroom. Olivia's hand was red. The CEO said calmly, "It's not proper for a young lady to get her hands dirty like that." Sarah was stunned. A second ago, she thought she had successfully smeared me in front of the CEO, but she didn't know that I had told him everything about my past on the very first day we met. My abusive father, my mother, whom he beat to death, and how I became an orphan just a few months after I was born. In the CEO's eyes, he and I were similar. He had also crawled his way out of the gutter to get where he was today. From across the room, Mr. Thompson saw what happened. He silently turned and walked toward the exit. Sarah saw her meal ticket abandoning her. She scrambled to follow him. Her high heel caught, and she tumbled to the ground, drawing the attention of the entire room. Chad, the man who had been fawning over Olivia just moments before, stared. Sarah looked up, her eyes alluring, and shot him a flirtatious glance. After the gala, I saw Chad with his arm around Sarah's waist getting into a car together. From the back, Chad looked like a pig, his head already balding. The car door closed, and their two silhouettes melted together. I saw a flicker of worry in Olivia's eyes. The Vanderbilts were even wealthier than the Sterlings. If Sarah managed to sink her claws into Chad, it could mean trouble for us. The trouble came sooner than I expected. A deal that was practically in the bag, a major project in Southeast Asia, suddenly fell through. The CEO was so angry, he slammed his fist on the table. I quietly took the tongue lashing, then booked a flight. That night, I was on a plane to Bangkok. Olivia clung to me at the airport, refusing to let go. Dad didn't mean it. He'll cool down. A small loss like this is nothing to the company. She just didn't want me to go. It's just a business trip. I'll be back in 2 days, I said, patting her back. She was usually fearless, but now her eyes were red. I don't want you to go. I'll make it up to you when I get back. Be good. I found Chad Vanderbilt Jr. in a private club in Bangkok, draped over 2 male models. He beckoned greedily when he saw me, standing in the doorway. You got top-shelf goods like this here? Why didn't you tell me sooner? The 2 models told him in broken English that they didn't know me. I walked up to him and held out my hand. Mr. Vanderbilt, we met at the gala. He slapped his forehead. Ethan Ford. So you're into this too, huh? As he spoke, his hand was already reaching out to grope my back. I grabbed his wrist and pushed his hand away. I'm here to see you. I know you were behind what happened with this Southeast Asia project. That deal was a sure thing. I promised my boss I'd deliver. Now he's furious, and I have to answer to him. Seeing that I was getting straight to the point, Chad dropped the act. In business, it's best when everyone wins. You can't expect the Stirrings to get all the profits. Of course not, I said with a smile. And in business, it's also important to be amicable. I'm sure you wouldn't want things to get too ugly between our 2 families. His eyes widened. What's that supposed to mean? Are you threatening me? I nodded. I didn't fly all the way out here just to see you. I've got video of everything you've been up to here. You're the only son in the Vanderbilt family. Imagine what will happen to your family's stock price if this gets out. I lit a cigarette, leaned back on the sofa, and waited for his answer. He sneered. You're not afraid of me getting revenge. What makes you so sure the Stirrings would go to war with my family over you? A man with nothing to lose has nothing to fear. I stood up, patted his shoulder, and tossed him a business card. You have until 8 o'clock tonight to call me with your decision. Back at the hotel, I stared at my phone. I was gambling that Chad was a coward who couldn't handle the pressure. If he called my bluff, I would lose the CEO's trust for good. As for Olivia, I couldn't bear to think about it. But if he folded, the project I had worked so hard on would be back on track. I would become the president of the Sterling's new tech subsidiary, and my life would change forever. At 7:55 p.m., the phone rang. The voice on the other end was gruff. You win. I wasn't that interested in the project anyway. I just wanted to do something nice for Sarah. I couldn't help my curiosity. She has that much of a hold on you. He didn't try to hide it. She's beautiful. She's willing to marry me. And she doesn't care if I play around on the side. She hates you, right? I asked. I was going to give her this as a little gift to cheer her up. I understood. Chad, there's no need to ruin a business relationship over a woman. You got a point. I'm getting married next month. You should bring your girl. The next day, I received a wedding invitation from him and Sarah. Olivia held the invitation in her palm, turning it over and over as if she had something on her mind. I took her in my arms. If you don't want to go, we don't have to. It's not important. She smiled brightly. Then what is important? This is. My voice was a low rumble. I swept her up into my arms and carried her toward the bedroom. She pounded on my chest, begging for mercy. You've been back for 3 days, and I've barely slept. Look at these dark circles. Didn't you say you missed me? I take it back. I take it back. I never want to miss you again. On the day of the wedding, I was sitting on the sofa reading a financial report. She came out wearing a black velvet cheongsam with a high slit, a style I'd never seen on her before. It was alluring, sexy, and wild. She held out her hand to me. Let's go. Time for some revenge. I thought you said you didn't want to go. Who said that? At the wedding, Sarah, the bride, was undeniably beautiful. But the moment Olivia walked in, she captured everyone's attention. People started whispering. Her face looks like it was created in a video game. Damn, and that body. I think I'm getting a nosebleed. The guy with her is gorgeous, too. The groom looks like a pig in comparison. Keep your voice down. Up on the stage, Sarah didn't smile once for the rest of the ceremony. The day our company's new product became #1 in the industry, I threw a celebration party. Chad and Sarah showed up to congratulate us. Sarah was pregnant, carrying herself like an empress. Her tone was as sharp and biting as ever. As long as I give the Vanderbilts a grandson, all of their fortune will be mine. But you're different, Ethan. The baby Miss Sterling is carrying might not even be yours. Olivia was in a good mood. She hugged me and kissed me several times, then raised her glass to Sarah. I've always wanted to ask you something, Sarah. Chad looks like a pig. How do you even manage to kiss him? Sarah's face turned green. The host on stage asked me to come up and give speech. I walked onto the stage, my eyes finding Olivia in the crowd. There's one thing that's more important than anything else today. I want to ask someone a question. Olivia looked up, a look of disbelief mixed with dawning realization on her face. I walked to her, got down on one knee, and looked up in her eyes. My voice trembled. Olivia Sterling, my princess, will you marry me? She covered her mouth, nodding again and again, tears welling in her eyes. That day, she was staring at Sarah's wedding invitation. I had a feeling she was hiding something from me. Later, I found a pregnancy test in a bathroom trash. She was pregnant, but she was afraid to tell me, worried I wouldn't want to get married. This beautiful, foolish woman. I pulled a massive ring from my pocket, a royal blue sapphire, her favorite. Standing in a corner, Sarah watched the scene unfold, her face falling. She must have been thinking about her own wedding. Chad never proposed, and he looked bored throughout the entire ceremony. She knew perfectly well that to the Vanderbilts, she was just a vessel for producing an heir. Suddenly, someone screamed. It was Sarah. Chad had collapsed on the floor, foaming at the mouth, his limbs convulsing. It took 4 people to carry him to the ambulance. The paramedics suspected a cerebral hemorrhage and told the family to prepare for the worst. Chad is paralyzed. His face is all twisted, Olivia told me as she tried on a wedding veil. I heard the Vanderbilts have people watching Sarah 24/7. They won't even let her leave the house. A few months later, Sarah gave birth to a son. Does being selfish really make you happier in life? Unfortunately for her, her victory was short-lived. The Vanderbilts kicked her out and refused to let her take the child with her. I suddenly remembered what she said at the party. It all made sense. She assumed everyone else was as dirty as she was. After that, I saw her a few times lurking outside the company headquarters. I was in my car and ignored her. One day, she ran out in front of my car, nearly getting hit. The driver got out and yelled at her. She just waved at me with a shameless smile. I rolled down the window. "What do you want, Sarah?" Her hair was greasy and there were holes in her clothes. She looked like she was having a rough time. "Can you give me a minute for old time's sake? I just want to say a few words." The security guards started to move toward her, but I waved them off and got out of the car. She stood before me, wringing her hands. "Can you lend me some money?" I refused coldly. "Not on those terms, Sarah," she stammered, a fawning expression on her face. "I'll pay you back any way you want." She reached for the top button of her shirt. I laughed. "I'm getting married in 2 months. You're welcome to come." A flash of lightning split the sky. A downpour started without warning. A security guard rushed over to hold an umbrella for me. I got back in the car. She stood in the pouring rain, sobbing. The day before the company went public, I went back to my hometown. The weeds on my mother's grave had grown tall. I sat in front of it and talked to her for a long time. Even though I never got to say a single word to her in my life, I knew she loved me. She died protecting me in my cradle, taking the blow from my father that was meant for me. As I was getting up to leave, I heard a rustling in the bushes like a small animal. Suddenly, a figure emerged, startling me. It was Sarah. I'd heard she had come back home, holed up in her old family house, and rarely going out. She was thin, her long hair unkempt. She looked like a ghost. Even so, you could still see she was beautiful. She was wearing that same white dress I bought her. "Ethan, I heard what you said just now. You said you met a lot of good people who were willing to help you. You still remember the good things about me, don't you?" She lunged at me, biting my lip hard. The taste of blood filled my mouth. I shoved her away, and she fell to the ground. "Wake up, Sarah. Since we were kids, you've been making up all sorts of lies to get me to be good to you, and I never called you out on it. But you can't expect someone to clean up your messes forever." I pulled away from her and walked away without looking back. She grabbed my leg, begging, "I don't want anything. I'll be your mistress. I'll be good. Just give me one more chance, please." Just then, Olivia texted me. "Honey, we're going to New York tomorrow. What color suit do you want to wear?" "Whatever you pick, my love. You have the best taste." Of course I do. I have the best taste in everything. Just thinking about her proud little expression made me want to kiss her. I kicked Sarah's hand off my leg. "The company is going public. Tomorrow, I'm going to ring the opening bell at the NASDAQ. My wife is pregnant. Please stop interfering in my life. For the rest of my life, I'll be grateful that you didn't marry me." End.